Hello, and welcome to the BKS podcast, episode 15, with your host, Peter Lant, who should be seated right here. Hello. Now then, I think we're about 9 weeks into lockdown at the moment. 9 weeks, something like that. It feels like longer. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see my hair. If not, you can hear it here. That's my hair. It's very long. But there you go. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do a lockdown haircut or not. My good lady Sean says she wants to cut it, but she's not a hairdresser. So, yeah, we're not sure about that. We'll see. It's due a cut. But anyway, how are we doing? So, if you don't know already, this is the podcast for fellas in the 40s who want to get back in shape by a fella in his 40s who's done exactly that. Now, one of the things is, I did this. I got myself back in shape through my late 30s into my 40s, and I did it pretty much all at home. Or I like outside in a park, out in my garden, a lot of it at home. And that's very kind of poignant at the moment, because obviously gyms are shut, all leisure places are shut, so you know there's lots of people going running, there's lots of people doing free online fitness stuff, which is all cool if that's what you want. However, if what you want is to get fitter and stronger and actually get results for you, you're going to need more than that. Okay, you're going to need more than just bouncing around your living room to a glorified PE session, to be honest. That is basically generic and trying to just get everyone moving, kind of like the old, and he's back again, the old Mr. Motivator, little Mr. Motivator workouts that your mum used to watch on TVAM. And if you go back even further, there was Lizzie Webb and then the Green Goddess as well, remember her? Blimey. So, those sorts of things, a bit of aerobatics, as my dad used to call it. But anyway, those sorts of things are all kind of cool, but they're not going to get you the results you're after if you want to get fitter, stronger, basically to make sure you can move into your 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, while still being strong and moving and all of that, which is exactly what I focus on, right? So with that in mind, before we even get started, I am running some free online stuff, but it's only for 10 minutes every morning, every weekday morning at 8:05. It's in the Bath Kettlebell Secret Society group on Facebook. You can just look that up on Facebook and ask to join, and it's free. Well, Facebook groups have to be free anyway, but yeah, and I do some free sessions in there every morning. They're only 10 minutes long, mainly based around kettlebell swings. But there is some bodyweight stuff in there, so you don't need a kettlebell. There is bodyweight stuff in there and everything. Okay. Also, before we get started, I have recently put out, as in last week, what did I call it? It's the ultimate home training survival guide. There's a ludicrous amount of stuff in there, all for free. In fact, there's one thing in there that isn't free and it costs 99 pence. But everything else in there, it's all free resources on how to train from home using a kettlebell, basically. So get your hands on a kettlebell. I know they're like hen's teeth, rocking horse shit, whatever you want to say. They're like that at the moment and it's hard to get your hands on them. But if you can get your hands on one, do it. And then in there, there's loads of resources on how to use it very effectively. There are resources on how to train just bodyweight style, which is basically in the sessions that I'm doing every morning at 8:05 on weekdays. I'm probably going to carry that on after lockdown, actually, because it is just a good thing to do. There's all sorts in there. So there's stuff about how to keep yourself on track. There's something about how to keep your head in the game, how to keep calm. There's some book recommendations in there of books that are very good with snippets of basically just how to stop stopping and keep going. Okay, which is very tricky, especially at a time like this. So there's all sorts of stuff there for you. Now, what was I going about? Those free sessions as well. What they are there for is to get people to say how they feel before, and then 10 minutes later how they feel after. And what we've been having is lots of stuff about people are really tired. The fellas are tired, worn out, not sleeping very well, kind of stressed. Afterwards, they feel like, right, I'm ready to get on with the day. I feel like I've got some energy, and that's what it's all about. So anyway, that's what I'm going to talk about today, because I spoke about this to the guys in there last week, or it was 2 weeks ago, and I've been thinking about it a lot because it's a really hard concept to get across, but it's how I have got the fellas at BKS, at Bath Kettlebell Society. It's how I've trained those guys and got them back in shape without hurting themselves and without burning out. It's how I've trained the guys who are training my online programs. It's how my 28-day challenge works. And I've got a quick story about that, which happened over the weekend as well. So this will all help you out during this lockdown, because gyms aren't going to open until July at the earliest, but that isn't even concrete. It could be the autumn, it could be September, October, and then when your gym does reopen, are you going to want to go back anyway? And there's nothing wrong with going back. There'll be disinfecting things and keeping 2 meters apart and all the distancing, social distancing and all that. But it's, there'll be people who aren't comfortable with that even then. So this will help you through all of that until everything gets back to normal, which is going to be a long time. It's not going to be till next year till things get back to normal, let's face it. If ever. So, I've been training guys in their 40s for over 6 years now. And I've been doing it for myself for 10 years. Okay, and one of the main things is people seem to think, especially now with everything that's out there online and everything that's marketed now to be kind of get fit now, instantly. 4-week program, 12-week program, get yourself ripped in 12 weeks. Get major, massive results in 4 weeks, all of that. And it's like, okay, that's brilliant. And I do that with my 28-day challenge. I don't say get major, massive results. I say, right, get the results that you would expect in 4 weeks. Okay? Whatever fitness level you're starting at, if you're starting from the very beginning, you will get fitter, you will get stronger. If you're already a kind of intermediate, say, you will get fitter, you will get stronger. If you're already quite advanced, you'll still get fitter and get stronger. Okay? But it'll be at varying degrees. If you're starting from the very beginning, in 4 weeks, you can get much fitter, much faster, because you're starting from a base of 0, so your actual progress is going to be quite quick. Whereas if you're starting from somewhere a bit higher, it'll probably be a bit slower. And this is where people struggle. When they start out, they get fast results, and they want to keep those fast results going forever. And as soon as they start to plateau, they go, right, I'm not getting any benefit from this anymore. I need to go and do something else, or I need to go and do it harder and faster. And then you end up burning out, then you end up injured, and then you have to stop. And then when you start again, probably in about 3 or 4 years' time, you do the same again, burn out, get injured, stop. Stop, start, stop, start. And I know this from experience. And as you get older, fellas in the 40s, it gets even harder as well. Because what you need to do, and this is going to be a big part of this, and this is a big part of everything that I do, is you need to factor in recovery. It's more about recovery than anything else. And you can factor recovery into your training sessions and just into your lifestyle around those training sessions as well. So, story from the weekend. There's a guy who's on the 28-day challenge at the moment who's actually in the military. He's in his 40s, I think, or he might even be in his 50s. I think he's in his 40s. And he's in the military, and he says, he did a session over the weekend, and he sent me a message in the WhatsApp group, and he was like, I've just done today's session, where's the rest of it? Because it was very easy, very simple. It didn't seem like that much of a challenge. So I went back, And I said, the whole point is that you finish the session feeling good. You don't feel like you've smashed yourself to pieces. You're not worn out. You're not burnt out. You finish the session, especially if you're doing it in the morning as well. You're finishing it feeling like you've got the rest of the day to get on with, and you're going to be there, and you're going to be able to get on the rest of the day. You haven't burnt yourself out for the rest of the day or the rest of the weekend or whatever. Okay, so he said, he came back and he said, yeah, I totally get that. But, you know, he goes, his mentality, obviously being in the military, has been to smash yourself to pieces, you know, to keep up with everyone else. And I'm kind of like, that's cool, but that's not what we're trying to do here. Okay? And he totally got that because he said, he goes, okay, so I found the session quite easy. So what I did was I just carried on and did it until I could hardly lift the bell anymore. So what he's done is he's taken himself to exhaustion. Now, if you take yourself to exhaustion, lots of things are happening and recovery is going to be harder. Recovery is going to take longer. So therefore, you're going to get less effect from the training. The whole point in the training effect is you start out, you train, you finish. And then the next time you come in, you might do a little bit more, but not feel any more burnt out. And then the next one you do, you'll do a little bit more, and then you still feel like you haven't done a silly amount, but you've done more than you would have done in the beginning. So let's say you start your first training session, and it felt quite simple, felt quite easy. Then a week later, you're doing a little bit more, and then a week later, you're doing a little bit more. At the end of 4, 5, 6 weeks, you're doing a training session that 6 weeks ago would have burnt you out. Whereas now, you're doing it and you're like, God, 6 weeks ago I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have been knackered for days afterwards. Whereas now you're kind of 6 weeks later, you're saying, well, okay, that felt relatively simple, relatively easy. So what does that mean? Well, it means you've got fitter. It means you've got stronger. It means you don't need... Well, you can factor in the rest in the recovery, but still by doing more. You're doing more than you would have done 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. So what that means is that's progress. That just means that's progress. I've been doing this for myself for years, and I never get burnt out. I never get burnt out. The guys at Bath Kettlebell Society at BKS who come along to the used to be live sessions, but now the session's online until all of this is over, they do the same. They do 3 sessions a week. They turn up to all the sessions. Sometimes they're tired, sometimes they're not, but they get through the sessions and they feel stronger and fitter at the end. And week by week, they build up the volume. They build up doing more stuff with heavier weights, but feeling like they've not done that much more. And that's what it's all about. It's not about getting super fast results. It's about being consistent, week by week, building your results. So in 6 weeks, in 8 weeks, in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, in a year's time, you're doing stuff that you wouldn't have dreamed of being able to do a year ago. And you do it easily. So, some simple examples. Guy Sean, who comes to BKS, started out in, I think it was September 2018. And his shoulder was sore and he could hardly put a weight above his head. His back got sore doing kettlebell swings with a 16 kilo. You know, lots of stuff. He basically, his stamina was quite, what would you say, low? He's in his 50s, by the way, but he didn't have that much stamina. He's got a cross trainer at home that he'd been using, you know, and he got some results from that. I put a video out of him in February this year, so September of 18 to February this year. It's about 18 months. He can do He's been completing 500 swings in a session with a 24 kilo, whereas a 16 kilo used to hurt his lower back. Now he's doing 500 swings with a 24, no problem. He's pressing a 24 above his head, no problem. He's doing snatches with it, which with a 20 kilo, which is taking a bell, swinging it from between your legs all the way to above your head. He's doing those, where he never used to even be able to put a weight above his head. Now he's doing that. And this has all been from doing training sessions that don't burn him out, but just build him up progressively. So over 18 months. So 18 months ago, if I said to him, do some presses with a 24 kilo bell, do me some snatches with a 20, do me 500 swings with a 24, it would have been impossible. Whereas now he can do it, no problem at all. So there's an example, and he's in his 50s as well. So most of the guys are training in their 40s, mid 40s usually. A couple of guys in their 50s. So he's one of the older guys who comes along, and he's made that progress across 18 months. Whereas most people think it's too late. And that's all about reining himself in and not smashing himself to pieces. Because as you get older, if you're smashing yourself to pieces, it's just going to take you longer to recover. The older you get, the longer it's going to take you to recover. So if you train within your means, you can still increase your strength. You can still increase your fitness, but without actually going anywhere near your limit. But what you do, you don't have to push your limit. You don't go near your limit, but your limit will increase. And that's a really, really difficult concept to get across to people, especially when you think, I'm getting older, I need to do this quickly, otherwise I'm going to burn out anyway. And that's not true. You need to step back and have patience, which is harder to do as you're getting older because you think you need to get it done now because you've only got 10 years left of fitness, which isn't true, especially if you're in your 40s. If you take your time over it, factor in recovery, you can keep going forever, for the next 40 years. That's what I plan on doing. And for myself, I'm actually fitter and stronger than I've ever been. But I wasn't very fit and strong when I was younger. But I'm fitter and stronger than I've ever been because I've used these principles. I've taken a step back because I used to do all this. When I first started, I was doing all the HIIT training. I was burning myself out. I was going on the longest runs I could until I couldn't run any further. Going as fast as I could on the treadmill. I was rowing until I was a sweaty mess and I would fall off the rowing machine in a heap on the floor. And guess what? I burnt out. I couldn't continue anymore. It was horrible. I hated every minute of it. Whereas now, I'll do a session and I'm like, at the end of it, I'm like, right, what can I do next? I'm ready for the day. I'm ready for the day. And it actually focuses me and it gives me more energy. There was a post I put up the other day and I put it at the top, start strong, finish stronger. You don't start strong and then smash yourself to pieces, be a dribbling wreck, puke in a bucket, and then have to go to bed. That's not going to help anybody. So, with that in mind, if you haven't already, have a look at the Ultimate Home Training Survival Guide, because it works. It's all of the stuff I've just spoken about, all of the stuff that you'll need, not necessarily this exact training. If it's not for you, it's not for you, and I'm cool with that. However, I know it works, and all of the stuff, all of the principles behind this training that you'll need are in that Ultimate Survival Guide. So, there is a link on this podcast to go to the page to see the guide, and it's just on a webpage on Bath Kettlebell Society. You can see all of the resources there. But what you can then do is you can download the PDF. You'll have to put your email address in, and then I'll send you the PDF via email. And you can then save it on your laptop and you can have it. It's yours to keep forever, because I don't know how long that blog post will be there for. It'll be there for a while, but then if I change websites and stuff like that, it'll disappear. But the PDF will be there forever, so you can have that forever. And that will keep you going for a very long time. And if you haven't already, I recommend you get into the Bath Kettlebell Secret Society group and follow along with the 10-minute morning sessions, because even if you are ridiculously strong, fit and healthy, they'll help you with your warm-up and you'll still learn some stuff. I can guarantee it. I still learn from it when I'm doing it every day, and I've been doing this for a very long time. So, I recommend you do all that. If you find this podcast helpful, if it makes sense, if you've got any questions, just ask. You can send me an email. You can go into my website, bathkettlebellsociety.co.uk, and there's a little widget at the side, and you can send me a WhatsApp message and ask me a question. You can ask me on Facebook. You can send me an email, like I've just said, anything. If you like this, like it, share it, tell your friends, get more people involved, invite them into the Secret Society Facebook group, and we can go from there. I want to help as many people as possible. I genuinely want to help as many people as possible. And if I can do that for you for free, that's cool. And you can get that via that group and via the Ultimate Survival Guide. If you want to take it any further, just get in touch. You can start out with the 28-day challenge. That's the easiest place to start. Or you can get in touch with me and we can have a talk about your goals, and we can design you a program starting you from exactly where you are at right now. So, we're all done. So, I shall talk to you on the next one. Ta-ra!